Hi, today I'd like to talk to you about a no-nonsense system against the Sicilian Defense, which really cuts down some learning. A lot of people really struggle at club level playing against the Sicilian, so after e4, c5, and it tends to be because they're trying to play variations which are a bit out of their own depth. So the average person who works a full-time job, has a family, maybe has study commitments or other interests in life other than chess, tends not to have time to be able to study long variations constantly and keep up to date with theory. So what I'd like to suggest is an alternative system which really cuts down the learning and is going to give you a reasonable position, you know, where you can just fight it out based on your chess. I would like to say that the system I'm going to teach you, the Botvinnik-English variation, it's definitely not the best variation. I'll say that straight out. If you're a 2700 Grandmaster and you're looking for wins with white over other 2700 Grandmasters, this is probably not the way to go about it. But if you're not a professional player and you're playing at a club and people are not really going to be able to exploit the advantage of the white pieces or anything like that, this is a very good system. You know, you can be 2300 and play this system reasonably well and get wins with it against other players of your level. But it's going to lead technically to a position which is not better for white. But what it is going to lead to is a position that you can play on its merits. So the better player will win when you play this type system, or the better player on the day. If you understand the ideas behind it, you're going to give yourself every chance. The system, we'll go to the board. The system after e4, just let my cameraman get to the board. After e4, c5, we have the Sicilian Defense, and of course the main lines involve knight f3 and then either d6 or e6 or knight c6 followed by d4. And we go into main lines here, and you know, they go 20 moves deep, sometimes 30 moves deep, and black tends to dictate which lines you're going to play. You've got to learn them very specifically for white. What I'm advocating instead of playing knight f3 and d4 is this move, c4. And what this is basically the English opening and the Botvinnik variation of it. So the main ideas behind this move, you set up a structure or a system which you're going to play against any black setup. So black will almost always play knight c6 here, and now you play knight c3. Black again will usually play g6, and now you play g3. So bishop g7, bishop g2. Now here are the main ideas of the system. Knight will come here, knight g to e2. You'll castle kingside. You'll play d3. These are your main moves. Now it doesn't really matter what black plays because it's a system rather than a variation. Sometimes black will develop like this. Sometimes black will develop like this. Sometimes like this. Black may even play this sort of thing for a d5 push. The main point though is that you'll play roughly the same idea with white depending on the specifics of it. Your main idea is to try to get bishop e3 and try to push d4. If you can eventually push d4, you're going and swap these pawns off. You're going to get a Maroczy-Bind type setup. You're going to push for space and gradually just squeeze black's position. You've got a little bit more space. Now, of course, it's, you know, in an ideal world, black will just, you know, roll over and die and you'll be able to get this in. But the trouble is, you're also playing someone who wants to win just as much as you do. So black's going to try to avoid you from, try to prevent you from doing this. So, common way for black to do this is to just establish a knight in there themselves, and potentially get another one over here to support it. So of course you can't take with a knight because of this fork, losing a piece. So sometimes you will ignore this if you feel the knight's not going to do any damage. Other times you can take, and after the pawn recaptures you can sort of gang up on this pawn. So that's plan A, try to push d4. Plan B, and plan B is a little bit, to my mind, plan B, you can sort of play sometimes without this particular plan as well. Oh, I forgot to mention, queen goes to d2 in virtually all of these variations. Plan B is to try to push b4. So rook b1, a3, b4, and the idea of this is to either destabilise this pawn, so if they take, you've got a nice open line, you switch back this way and go there and push this sort of pawn here. If you can keep pushing on the queen side, you can do very well. Black will often try to nullify it and just prevent you from doing it, which is not necessarily too bad for you. You can get this strong square here in this case. Black also can try playing exactly the same plan as well. The plan's perfectly good for black, particularly if black's achieved this, rook b8, b5, etc. That's plan B. And plan C, which I think is actually more relevant, black will almost always have castle kingside. Plan C is, and particularly after this has come off the board, plan C tends to work very well. After you move your knight to wherever it goes, whether it's here, wherever, you play f4. And then you try a pawn storm on the king side, so g4, h4, etc. Knight can come to this square. Now, if you can get this move in, you tend to be doing quite well. Tend to be, in this specific position, it may not be very good because of your bad bishop. A very strong square here for black, but in most normal positions here, if you can get f5 in, you're doing quite well, and you're just going to play a big pawn storm on the king side. A move which black will usually play once you've got 3 pawns together is f5. Now, the idea of this move, and particularly when there's a pawn on this square, is that if you take back this way, black will take like this to unbalance things. If you take this way, black will take this way. To my mind, I tend to feel that white should take this way if they take it all. Of course, you can do this and potentially have a swap. I tend to feel taking this way is a better move though. And after takes push, and what you've done by taking, by swapping your e-pawn for the g-pawn is you've opened your own bishop up. Your bishop's come to life now and it's going to have more of an impact in the game. Again, none of these positions are going to be winning for white or even necessarily better for white, but what you are going to get is a solid position where you can simply play chess. You don't have to worry about how good your database is or how good your opponent's database or book knowledge or anything is. You're just simply going to play chess. And if you're good enough, you're going to win, and if you're not good enough, you're not going to win. But it's going to give you every fighting chance against the Sicilian defense. Thank you.